Hello.
Hi, aloha.
I'm Ed Dorrell. I'm Deputy Editor of the Times Education Supplement, which you might also know as TES. It's a weekly paper and online newspaper for teachers based in London. It's my pleasure that TES is sponsoring these masterclasses, and it's my pleasure to introduce them. The last one of the day, but not least, I'm sure we're about to discover, is Glenn from Hawaii. And Glenn does robots. Who doesn't love robots?
Aloha.
Hello. An electrical engineer 24 years ago, Glenn Lee decided that was boring and wanted to become a teacher. He wanted to fulfill a desire to become a STEM teacher specifically. He was determined to learn everything he could about robotics and then share it with the kids. He fostered partnerships, wrote grant applications, personally bringing in $6 million?
6.1.
$6.1 million. And in 1999, helped launch the state's first robotics program in a small, isolated, poor, rural community. Glamorous Honolulu, this is not. Today, 750 plus robot programs exist from grade K to 12. Since 2007, 87% of Lee students have met proficiency in reading and maths in the Hawaii State Assessment, and 71% have maintained a 3.0, whatever that means, GPA or higher. And more importantly, his robotics team has been unbeaten in nearly a decade. Is that right?
Yes.
So, if that isn't a warm-up, I don't know what is. Glenn, over to you.
Thank you. Hi. So, thank you for the introduction. I'm going to show you a little PowerPoint. It's going to be very brief. I'm going to go through it real quickly. The point of my presentation is to leave you with more questions so that you can go and visit our website here at www.wailoarobotics.com. It's also on our handout. If you don't get a handout, I can talk to you after the presentation. Please visit our website. Our website has lots of information about our program. It talks about how it's set up. It shows who our students are in our program. It shows our history, and it shows what we do. And so we get a lot of traffic on our website because we do compete globally, and we've been around for 19 years now. And so, again, I'm going to try and keep it as brief and short as possible. But to get your attention, I will show you a video of our program, a very short video that one of our students put together. And then hopefully by the end of the presentation, I got your interest and that you want to find out more about our program and why we do robotics in our school and our community. So again, my background, I've been a teacher for 24 years. I started as an electrical engineer. I have my master's in business. And one day I met my former principal many years ago in 1994. And I was talking story with him, and he was asking me about, why I became an engineer. And I was just telling him how I enjoy teaching, because back when I was in high school, I was very good in math and science, and I used to always help my fellow classmates. And so he brought up this crazy idea about me wanting to, he had an opening in his school, asked if I wanted to teach. Next thing you know, I quit my job the following Monday. And then the following week, school starts, and I'm teaching day one at our school with no teacher training whatsoever, other than what I did for helping tutoring my fellow classmates and peers, and teaching summer school at a middle school while I was in college. That was my training. Until this day, I've never student taught. It's all on-the-job training. The other thing is, at first I started as a math and science teacher, and then about 5 years into my teaching career, I ended up becoming a robotics instructor. And there was that opportunity to do robotics. And the main reason why I did robotics was because I wanted to do something that was above and beyond just teaching math and science. In our community, most of the parents weren't engineers or weren't in STEM fields. And so the problem was, when I was teaching my classes, I was trying to convince my kids to do something beyond high school, but they took my class, they took it because they were supposed to, pass the class, and then next thing you know, they weren't majoring in those fields. And so I wanted to do something above and beyond so that would spark their interest, so that if I do more of the application thing in my classroom, they'd be more interested in going into those careers. So what do I do in my school? Well, I'm the director for our STEM Learning Center. Our program has grown from just a club into something that's integrated within our school, and I want to talk a little bit more about that. So when we manage our STEM center, here's some things that make our STEM center great. We establish a clear, defined roles for each volunteer in our program. Our school can't even afford one teacher in our program. And so, do I just say we're not going to do it? No. We have been able to get volunteers from our community. We have a lot of retirees. We have former students that help us. And we have other people that have certain expertise that live in the community, and we ask for their support. What I mean by asking for volunteers is, I'm not asking someone to help us 40 hours a week. I'm asking for people that can provide any amount of time they can provide, and my job as a director is to coordinate and facilitate so that we can provide a continuous flow of mentorship and support for our students and for our students to get that while I'm trying to manage the people that are available during whatever time they can give. The other part is we try to recruit a diversified group of mentors. So if I'm looking for a teacher that can help me do programming, because we build robots and you program robots, I look for people within our community. I try to get some alumni. I try to get former students. I try to diversify our support so that if one person can't help us, I can count on somebody else to help us. Whenever someone asks us in our program, can I volunteer for your program? I never ever turn down any kinds of support, because like in life, whenever you have a fork in the road and there's an opportunity, you should take that opportunity, because you don't know what that's going to lead to. It may lead to more opportunities. And so I may have 3 programming mentors, and I just try to figure out a way to have all of them help and support us. The other part is we try to establish clear and organized subgroups of our program. So in traditional learning in schools, you might have a math teacher that teaches math class, science teacher that teaches science classes, an English teacher that teaches language arts and reading. But what you don't see too much of is schools dedicating their time or their programs where they can get together and integrate on one particular project. What makes my program unique is that because we're a small school and we cannot hire a teacher to teach any specific discipline, what we do is we bring students that are interested in any career fields, whether it's graphics technology, website design, digital media. I want to build robots. I want to go into machining. I want to be a welder. We put them all in one class. So one student is earning one type of credit while another student is earning another type of credit, all in one period, so that our school can afford to offer a class where we put all the different groups together. We have roughly 40 students in our robotics program. And so we can our school will not allow for us to offer a period unless you have at least 30 students. If not, we can't afford it. So by having all these different small groups of electives and put them in one class, we can offer a program. What does our STEM Learning Center look like? 3 parts. We offer, and I'm going to go into that. And then the other part that I want to kind of go more into is talking about how we get our school, community, and organization. We are all affiliated, supported. Here's some sample of roles of our program and our personnel. So as you can see, for such a tiny little school and program, if you can bring mentors or partners into your program, we can offer all of these different kinds of support. Now, when people ask me, what do you do as a robotics teacher? I always tell them, I'm just a facilitator. If you ask me to weld something for you, the weld's going to break. When I first started teaching, I thought my job was to teach everything. If I offer a class, I got to be the welder, the communicator, the graphics person. I was killing myself because I tried to be all these different things for our program. I would look at other programs and go, wow, that school has a lot of resources. They can offer a website class. Well, we don't have money to offer a website class. How are we going to do that? So by me bringing in all these partners, I focus on supporting the partners. The partners come in and focus on working with our students. In our schools, especially in Hawaii, the reason why a lot of a lot of adults don't want to volunteer in schools is because when they come into the school, if let's say I'm a website person, when I go into the school and I'm a website person, a lot of times they come in and they have to become the teacher. The person might come and says, well, do you have a computer for website? Oh, no, we don't have one. So pretty soon the mentor is providing all the resources, and then pretty soon they're not as interested because they just want to teach how to make a website. They don't want to worry about this cable goes with this printer. I need to access the internet. Oh, no, we don't have internet in this room. And then they start jumping through hoops. My job is when they come into the classroom or they come on campus, everything is turnkey, and I make it possible for them. So I focus on making sure all these areas get supported. I don't focus on teaching all of these different things. Therefore, for me, as one person, I'm able to offer all these things for our students with just one person through my partnerships. So as I mentioned earlier, we started as a robotics programming club. And we found out that the problem with that was when you run as a club and you want to expand your program, the school doesn't support it. If the school doesn't have resources and you don't have kids in the hundreds signing up for a particular class, they're not going to support it. So you have two choices. One, do I give up? A lot of schools and teachers give up. They get frustrated because they say my school doesn't support me. Or you can do the other part, right? You can look beyond that, create a foundation. So what I did was in our school, I created a foundation where we offered two career pathways. One is the Arts and Communication Career Pathway. So if you are a student that is interested in graphics technology, you like using Photoshop, you like creating pictures, you like showcasing whatever project or anything that you're involved with, I bring in those students into our robotics program. I have many students that have graduated in this career pathway, and if you ask them today, do you know how to turn on the robot? And they'll tell you they don't even know what the on-off button looks like. It doesn't matter. They are in our program because robotics provides a vehicle for them so that they can do their journalism, they can do their interviews with adults. I can bring in more students in my program for these areas even though we're building robots. The other career pathway that we work on is we have an industrial engineering technology career pathway. So we offer the regular engineering design courses. So first year student, we try to teach them all the different basic skills and operating all the different tools in our program, just to give them a general idea of how all of that works. Then we go into our engineering classes. They can diversify if they want to go become a welder or go more into metal technology, work with more of our different materials. They can go that route. If they want to do more of the design work, CAD, using computers to draw and design their work, and then use our equipment to make their parts, they have that part as well. And then at the very end, after our students have had several years in our program, we offer a capstone course. This course is very informal. They can earn a credit by working on a project that they come up with. So if I mentioned earlier, I have a lot of sponsors and partners. And so one of the things that we try to do is we try to get those kids, our partners, involved with those kids and say, our partner might say, well, you know what, I want you to help me develop this product. Okay, fine. We get our students to design the project, give a proposal on how they would do it, and they would help our partner and at the same time go through the design process and can develop a product on their own. This is our organizational structure for our robotics program. So I mentioned just now that we offer two career pathways. And in that career pathway, we have a project, a culminating project, which is our robotics program. And in our robotics program, it used to be where you have a culminating project, you build a robot, and that's it. We enter competitions with it. The problem was that our robotics program came very big. And if we tried to do all these different things, we actually had to create a structure just for the project of our program. And so we have 5 different areas here. It's not just building robots. We have an administration portion, support, web page and documentation, and outreach. In our administration part, when we do our robotics project, we have people that help us do all of these different things. 2 weeks ago, I competed in Montreal. You can't just build a robot and say, well, let's just go to Montreal. Someone has to help coordinate and do all of these things. And it's a lot of work. And so we have people that help us do that. We have our construction team. We have kids that want to be designers, welders, they want to do programming. And so we kind of broke down our program of robot construction into these 3 different subgroups so that we have some kids that only want to do programming. If that's all they do, their job is to work on those parts, work on the control systems, the electronics, and so on. And all the parts that they do to construct our robot, they got to all work together. And we're going to show that in our video. Our robotics project, we are involved in 2 different programs. One is called FIRST Robotics, which has been around since 1992. The other one is called VEX Robotics, which has been around since 2009, or 2007, excuse me. Those 2 programs used to be one program, and then they had a little divorce. And next thing you know, there are 2 programs. And there are 2 competing programs. When we first started, there were 359 teams doing it around the world, or mostly in the United States, but some teams from other countries. Today, there are over 25,000 robotics teams in the entire world. It's amazing. Everyone has the same task. We give you a challenge, and you have to build a robot in 6 weeks. Let me tell you how hard that is. If I give you a blueprint of a robot, and I say, Brian here, I'd like you to make this robot, he'll do it in 6 weeks with all of his capabilities, his knowledge, and his students. He'll build it. If I tell Brian, I need you to build a robot to meet this challenge with no design specs, nothing that's been proven, I guarantee you he's going to spend 10 times longer trying to build the same robot if I had just, versus giving him just the blueprint. It's that hard. They purposely make it hard in high school so that you are frustrated, you are upset, you start swearing, you start getting upset, you want to give up. They make it so hard for you so that if you get through this 6 weeks, it'll change your life forever. And for our kids, it did. When we first started, we struggled. And let me tell you, we really, really struggled. Today, we still work just as hard, but some things got easier after 19 years worth of experience. I can tell you right now where I was in January and February. This project started the first weekend in January. In the entire world, it all starts at the same time. And by President's Day weekend in the US, we had to be done with our project. Our students spent 400 hours outside of school hours in 6 weeks to build our robot. I'm going to show that to you. We have a documentation team. When we started doing robots, all we did was build robots. But here's the problem. When someone like here say, well, can you share what your program does? We didn't really have a lot of documentation. If you want to document your experiences and be able to prove and showcase what you do, you got to have a documentation team. And so I mentioned earlier, we have many kids that are interested in documentation. They're not interested in building robots. They just want to document what you're doing with your robots. I have a student that went to New York University Film School. All she did was she wanted to videotape our robot process. And as a result of her doing that and putting that as part of her submission, she had a free ride scholarship. So a school that costs $45,000 a year, she got a full ride scholarship, all because she did robotics. My second example, in 2013 in Hawaii, we had a student that all she cared about was documentation. She was into journalism. She was into arts and communication. She loved speaking with judges. In 2013, 4 years after she graduated from high school, she applied for Miss Hawaii USA beauty pageant. And when she was able to get to the final 5 contestants. And when you get to the final 5 contestants, they ask an impromptu question, a question out of blue, and you have to, in the middle of the stage, think of an answer. Her answer was about STEM education, women in STEM, and women going into these careers. And all the other 4 contestants talked about the usual thing about beauty pageants and some other kinds of things that they were going to do. And I think all the judges were shocked that she was talking about robots at a beauty pageant. Guess who won that competition? My former student. And we're talking about robots here, and then it got to beauty pageant. The power of integrating all these different areas. I brag to everyone that in our robotics program, I don't care what you are interested in. I guarantee we have a place for you, and I guarantee you're going to get a great learning experience as a result. Robotics support. People always forget about these the integral part of these people that help play a role in your program. It's like the team mom. So we're at school for 400 hours. The kids got to eat. How are they going to eat? Right? They're at school all the time. I have dedicated parents and adults that worry about making sure that during dinner time, the kids take a break, they eat. When we leave school on the weekends at midnight, before they even go home, we make sure they all get a ride home. All of these different things are important. And I always remind my students that they are just as important as the person that's helping you build a robot or helping you program or helping you to write your articles and help you develop your website. Everyone, whether you're here, help us directly or not, you are important in our program. And when you value people, they will come back and help you the following year, even though they just spent 400 hours of their time helping you. Outreach. Outreach is important. We never had this fifth component in our program until after 10 years, and that was a mistake. Why? You got to share what you do. This is why I'm here today. If you want sponsorship and partners and support, you got to go out there and you got to get it. It's not people asking you about your program. You go and tell people about your program, because the more people you share your program with, I guarantee you more avenues and more support will come as a result. So these are the kind of questions I bet all of you have, because these are the questions that I had as a result of going through this whole experience the past 19 years. How do you fund programs with little or no resources? Do you give up? It takes a village to run a program. How do I go about finding help? These are the kind of questions you got to think about. How do we build capacity with respect to resources, personnel, and program expertise? In other words, how do you facilitate and manage all of that stuff? It's a lot of work. How do I get students more passionate about STEM and engineering, right? Especially if at home they're not getting it and their parents don't do that for a living. The excuse I hear from parents all the time is this: well, when I went to school, I didn't have to do that. I'm fine. That's not the point. The point is, where is the jobs going to be? Where is the job market going to be? Our job, our responsibility as educators is, how do we prepare students for the job that's going to be available 5 years from today? I'm afraid of making mistakes. What if I fail? It's okay to fail. Failure is how you learn and grow. This project takes too much time, and I don't have any more time to give. How can I utilize my time more wisely? This is why we have a lot of support and a lot of mentors, so that we try not to burn anybody out. And of course, at the very end, I need help. I don't understand. I can't do it. Where do I find help? Well, again, we didn't learn everything by ourselves. I ask a lot of questions. Every time I go to a tournament, I tell our students and our mentors this: think of at least 2 questions or things that you see that you think is great, and take that idea or ask them, how do you do that? Because the more you go, when you go to an event, it's to your advantage to ask people what they do, because the more knowledge you get, the better you'll be the next time you go to your next event. So now I'd like to, I don't know how long I took, it must have took pretty long. I'd like to show you our team video. All the questions that I just posed, this video should show you, this will kind of give you a glimpse of what we do. And so if you have any questions after, ask me at the end. So hopefully that gave you a glimpse of our program. So as you can see, our program is very hands-on. You saw a lot of the different roles. You saw adults and mentors working with students. That's our program. I think no matter what program you offer, and I think the reason why I'm standing here today is this. We offered and developed a program that was integrated with our school, and we created a foundation. For any student that was interested in anything they wanted to do, that was number one. The other part was we participate in this culminating robotics competition. And it's through this competition that allows us the opportunity to travel to all these different places. And I think the true value for students is if you provide the opportunities beyond the classroom, they are going to learn a lot more than if you just do a simple lecture and traditional type of learning environment. And so that's pretty much what we do. So we did the tournament you saw at the end. We actually won this tournament 2 weeks ago in Montreal. So it's pretty cool. And then it came back and then it ended up coming here. But anyway, I'm going to get through my slides real quick. So in summary, I just want to say that in order for us to manage and sustain our program, there are 3 things that are very important, or 4 things. One is having mentors and volunteers and partnering so that if you don't have resources, you can get that support even though your school won't support you as much as you'd like. Number 2, don't just, you need money from, you got to get funding sources, right? So I focus a lot on grant writing, partnerships. Anytime you ask someone for money, it's a relationship. You cannot just go and send a letter and say, please, can you give us $1,000? We have this great program. If they don't know you, they're not going to give you anything. So work on that relationship. The third thing is we do as much outreach activities as possible. We go out. When McDonald's calls us and says, can you do a little robotics demonstration at our restaurant? We do it. Why? Because we don't know who's going to come into the restaurant. Next thing you know, we might get even more support. And last but not least, in order to have any kind of great, successful program, you got to have a clear organizational structure. Being a club isn't going to help you. If you integrate it with your school, you set down certain foundational components and you work on those things, then no matter what comes about, no matter what changes, no matter if your funding gets cut short, you have other options and avenues because you can rely on your foundation. And the other part is, in summary, I think our project is successful. We have won many tournaments around the world. In fact, for all the tournaments we did away from Hawaii since my daughter was born, my daughter's my good luck charm, we have won every single tournament, and my daughter is 9 today. And the reason why I think is because of this. We focus on these 3 things: rigor, relevance, relationships. I think everyone here understands about rigor and, providing a challenging curriculum. Robotics makes it easy for me. Why? Because the project in itself is rigorous. So if I can get through that, I've addressed that. Second part is relevance. Students need to see the big picture. So when I bring in partners and I bring in my alumni and they see that they're successful engineers, or, my former student won the beauty pageant, they see the value, they see the relevance. A big part of our program, for anybody who does shop classes, you got to clean up the shop. And I'm very big on making sure our shop is clean. Students are going to do it if they see the big picture. If they know that being organized, keeping the shop tidy is going to help us the next day when we work on our project to reach our end goals, show them the end goal, show them the relevance, and they will produce. And the last but not least, this is the most important part. You cannot do it by yourself as a teacher. Try to think of a program that you want to do. If you're going to try to do it in isolation, you're only going to get so far. Focus on working with the parents, your other teachers, the community. Our strength of our program is a combination of all those things. I think that's pretty much it for now. Do you have any questions? I hope you have lots of questions even after this presentation, because that was the whole point of showing just a glimpse of what we do.
Hi, sir. Good morning. Good afternoon. I'm Tin from the Philippines. I'm actually interested in your program, but my question is, are there prevailing concerns or problems in your community that you were able to address because of this very good program of yours?
So the biggest challenge for us which I think is harder for us versus other programs in the United States, is that it's funding, because we live in Hawaii. So can you imagine, I think everyone here knows Hawaii, and you would love to bring your program to Hawaii. What's the number one factor why you don't come? Money, cost, expenses. And so for us, that's an integral part of what we do. And so the short answer is, you can't do it overnight. When we first started, we did not raise the amount of money that we're raising today. This is after 19 years of hard work. But it wasn't until after our 5th year that we changed our philosophy, created a foundation, and started working more with our partners, and slowly that developed. I have sponsors that give us as much as $30,000. And let me tell you something. When they first worked with us, they gave us $100. I wrote a letter, asked for money. They thought it was a cool project. It was $100. 4 years later, they saw us in the newspaper. They saw we started being successful. Next thing you know, I got $1,000. How did I get that $1,000 to $10,000? Well, you know what we did? We invited them to our school. We invited them, and the most important part is I didn't show them our program. Our students showed them what they were learning in our program. Next thing you know, we got $10,000. Then pretty soon, our program started growing and started getting bigger, and we started having more kids. Well, today, they give us $30,000 as a result of what we did from the very beginning. So I think sometimes you get lucky, you can get a big sponsorship, but for us, being on a little island where we have to compete with 750 other programs, and there's over 1 million people on our island, it's tough, and so you just have to work hard. Sometimes you got to work harder than other people. But yeah, that's our main challenge. Yeah. Any other questions, or maybe one more? Yes.
How do you manage the safety aspect of
Okay, good question. He asked about safety. Safety is very important. I didn't show in the video, but because to me it would be boring if I just showed him going. Every one of our students have to go through safety training. And it's not you do it one time and then you're good for the next 4 years. No. We are a middle and high school, grades 7 through 12. We have our lower program for 7th grade, 8 through 12. We do our higher end project like what I showed in the video. Every one of our students have to go through safety training, and they have to pass a series of tests. And also, we get inspected. Our shop has to be safety compliance. And let me tell you something. In our state, they come every quarter. So if one little thing is off on your machine, you get cited. So we always make sure that our shop is inspected as much as possible, so that to ensure the safety for our students and make sure that we address safety as well. Good question.
Okay, can we give
thank
Glenn
you.
a big round of applause,
Thank
please?
you.